Welcome, guys, to another edition of Pick Your Trail Travel Cafe. I'm super excited that we're continuing this, and we had great response from all of you, our fans and viewers, about this series. Today, we have with us Preeti Narayan, who's going to join us and talk about what it feels like to be traveling with kids. We're waiting for her to join. Soon she would join us, but I'm really excited because traveling with kids is never really easy. And there she is. Hi.
I'm gonna wait till you finish introducing me.
Yeah, I will. But then I was just telling them about how I kind of. So I went live and I'm like, hey, welcome on board to it and that. And then I realized that okay, the followers are very different. I see my brother following me. Then I realized that was the wrong channel. So great, guys. Do feel free, comment on the live. We'll take questions. Preeti, we already had some very interesting questions coming through Q&A as well. So, but it's going to be super fun. So I think the whole idea of Travel Cafe was to get people to come and, understand some critical travel problems, or, some people have gone to multiple destinations, how it feels. So today with us, we have Preeti, mother of Akira and Adya, and she's traveled quite a bit with them. I do my research, or the team does the research. So.
Googled well.
Yeah. I think as an internet company, the least you do is Google well. So hi, Preet. So I think the idea is to learn from your experiences and what it takes to traveling with kids, and what does it feel, right? So I think that's the idea. I know that you have quite a few interesting stories of being locked down in hotel rooms where you have not had key cards. So the team's kind of very excited, right? So starting off, I think one general thought I think I wanted to start off with is, when you're traveling alone or when you're traveling as a couple, it's very different, right? And the moment you start traveling with kids, and then you that even 5-6 kgs of baggage can be quite telling on you, right?
Yes.
So how is it kind of like traveling with Ashwin, and he travels quite a bit, you travel quite a bit. From there to, traveling with kids, how was that first real experience like?
So I want to tell you a little bit about how I grew up, okay? My dad won't even let us unescorted till the end of the street. So for me, traveling was all that I wanted to do when I grew up. That's the only reason I wanted to grow up. I was like, Appa, I want to grow up and get out of here. That's all I wanted to do. So it was perfect for me in terms of, I've had a lot of people coming and telling me, I can't eat food. I need, they're vegetarians. And then I know a lot of friends and family who are very fussy. They will refuse to travel if they don't get Indian food or, eggless Jain food, whatever. So Ashwin had zero issues with me. Initially, he used to be like, don't stress this, that, and all. Then I was like, listen, you know what? As long as I get on a plane or get on a train and move and get somewhere, I don't care where I go. I'll figure out how I am. And we had a thing between us. If I was going on cricket tours, he always used to leave first because I wanted to travel alone after him. I didn't want to go with the team and this and that. So I could do whatever I wanted when I went alone. I could explore shops or, figure out what I wanted to do on the flight as well.
Shop, yeah, we heard that right.
That was like pre-baby. But after the children came in, while I now enjoyed it, was a nightmare for me initially. Because you're doing double logistics, right? You need to figure out stuff for yourself and what they need. You just can't pack your bags and leave. A little planning goes a long way, but when it comes to children, you need a lot of planning. You can't certain things you can't sort of leave it till the last moment. Yes, you can't. So that way, and of course, the weight limit in airlines is not helping at all. So that's that, but it's okay. Now with time, I've really figured out how much they enjoy doing certain things. So now it's a lot better than what it was when they were infants. When they were infants, it was terrible.
What is the first destination you went with them?
Internationally, I went to Sri Lanka. Ashwin was playing his 50th test match at Galle. So that was the first trip. And I wanted to kind of test the waters with a 1-hour flight. And Sri Lanka is easy, right? The weather, there's nothing, it's no fuss. So that was the first short flight I took the children on. So yeah, that was uneventful actually, because it's literally like your backyard. and it
True.
didn't need much planning. I'd already done a lot of domestic traveling with the kids. But when my second one was about 2.5 months old, we went to Dharamshala to watch a test match. And that was, we went on a day. They flew flights from Chandigarh, I think only twice or thrice a week.
Yeah.
And we picked a day when there was no flight, and then we went by road.
Stay put.
So
Okay.
we went by road. No, I'm not missing a test match for anything. So we went by road. So those are some stories I have. But yeah, with respect to how harder it is now, it is a lot harder. But it's okay if you know what they need and when they need it, and if you're chill about it, it's okay. It's not so bad.
So from Sri Lanka, the first trip, right? So now that you've kind of got used to it, right?
Yeah.
Traveling with them. So what are some of the things that you've kind of really done to make this process seamless for yourself?
First I said is planning. Because you kind of need to. With respect to flights, I always liked taking morning flights because I want them sleepy when I reach the airport, but after that, I want them fresh. So when they wake up, they're always fresh and happy. It's when they want to go to sleep that they get cranky and miserable. So I like my kids to wake up in an airport with full lights blasting on their heads. So I've always tried to take morning flights, which means that I just carry them in their pajamas and go. I dress them the night before and put them to bed, so it's easier. I just pick them up, take what I need and go. And they're very happy when they wake up. I also prefer reaching destinations a lot earlier in the day before they hit their bedtime. So with international flights, you don't have much of a choice on when you land. But if I travel domestic, it's definitely something I would want to do.
So in fact, one of the questions that came through was, how do you manage sleep timings? Because especially international, when you travel, your sleep timings get kind of changed, right? So what are some of the hacks that you do to manage sleep timings?
So most international flights will have a stop, right? So either you're flying via Dubai or Singapore. I'll make sure that they're kind of awake till I reach the first stop. Because changing gates is very, very challenging when the children are asleep. Thankfully, Dubai and Singapore, they give you strollers. But like me, if you have 2 children that need strollers, then you're in trouble. Because you don't have 4 hands, to push them. So I try and make sure that they're kind of awake when they reach Dubai or Singapore. Abde Kenji, I'll be like, oh, it's only half an hour. I'll get you candy. I'll get you Lego. Something or the other will happen. And the minute we are on the long haul flight, I'm happy to let them sleep.
Just put them sleep,
whenever they want. In fact, the night before, I try my best to, kind of put them to bed quite late. So then the morning, they end up waking up anyway, but all that sleep gets compensated. But again, they're children, so you don't know when their adrenaline is going to go up. Just be prepared for worst case scenarios. Thank you. My husband is saying thank you. I don't know why.
Okay. Yeah, somebody's been just raving about him on comments.
Oh, everybody's raving about him. I am talking, guys.
You're the one pushing all the strollers.
Yes. So, second thing I realized is people are complaining. Your children are cranky. They're throwing a fits. Don't worry. Like, they say, they'll just be like, listen, if I could shut them up, I would. I can't. So there's nothing you can do about it. If people, when we travel, in business, it's even worse, right? Because everyone says, I paid this much money, I don't want to try. Full side eye they'll be giving. I empathize with them. I'm not saying I don't, but this is not a choice I have. My children cry, they cry, that's all. It was very bad when they were infants, but once they became toddlers, it's a lot easier. I mean, tougher in the way they don't sit in a place, they want to keep moving. So till the seatbelt sign is off, it's a nightmare. After that, they're okay. I just keep chasing after them.
Super. Yeah. So one of the things, once you said, one thing was planning, right?
Yes.
So if you could break it down, one of the questions that also came was, what are some of the checklists that you generally do before you start traveling with kids?
Okay, so your check-in baggage, you always know what you need, right? You always pack for more, especially if you have children. Your check-in is never usually the problem because worst case, you can land and, there's 24/7 supermarkets everywhere. You can go pick up what you need. But I'm very careful about what I carry with me when I'm in the flight. One would be extra diapers, even if your children have kind of grown out of the diapering stage, if they're around 3 and 4. I would still recommend you putting them in diapers because a lot of international flights take a lot longer to get the seatbelt sign off. So, and that's the exact time when children want to go to the toilet. So it's very difficult for them because the aircraft is extremely cold. They are nervous. So I would recommend that you keep them in diapers till the flight takes off and they can move around. To pack the first meal that they might have, I usually carry oatmeal with me because I'm used to having been caught up in delays,
In flight
cancellations,
delays, yeah, yeah.
children just getting hungry and not finding anything good enough to feed them. So one meal I try to carry, and one ready-made like a Cerelac or a porridge that I can kind of mix together, because more times than one, I've had airlines assume my children are much older. I kind of always fill in the infant food box, but it's
Big, yeah.
never happened. More like they'll give a hot chicken pasta or they'll give them breads, nothing that they can possibly eat. So I make sure that fruit you'll get on an airline, but some kind of a ready-made thing that you can mix with hot water and give them would be a lifesaver, because the last thing you want is children going hungry,
Hungry
giving
on a
them,
flight, yeah.
yeah, giving them cookies and chocolates, and vice captain of any airline he's damaging me fully. So getting them on a sugar high is not gonna don't laugh. Getting them on a sugar high is not gonna help anyone. So I would recommend that you pack their first meal. And my children don't have any special toys, but if there is something that your child is attached to, like a security toy, you should take it
Take it
along.
along.
And I don't know a lot of people if they know about baby wearing. You have baby carriers. So it is a beautiful thing if your child sits in one. You can carry the baby on yourself. So you have two arms to carry your handbag,
Push the other stroller.
and push the other stroller. I became very smart. I got a double stroller because
Yeah.
it was too difficult. But if you don't get it when you're shifting airlines, so you can hold the other child and carry one of your
Yeah.
children with you, or take turns carrying the other. So I think a baby carrier is a gift. You should get your children used to it if you intend to travel. It's amazing. If they get used to it, you have your hands to do everything you want. So that's that.
Great. So one of the other questions that came through was somebody has a 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old, and a 6-month-old, right?
Okay.
How do you keep them? Any tips to keep them occupied on a flight?
So if it's domestic, you don't get any entertainment options on flight. You don't get activity kits. So I take like smaller crayon packs, and I take small notepads which have drawings on them, so that it's not bulky, right? So those I can slip into my handbag itself. So if they're bored somewhere, I would give it. On long haul flights, I did give the iPad to my children when they were 2+, because they can't sit and put the headphones on. It's very uncomfortable for them in a flight. So they did get used to the iPad for a little bit after they were 2. But you need to carry activity sets. There's no choice, and you have to entertain the child. You cannot plan to sit back and watch a nice movie like Ashwin usually does, but you can't do that. You just have to entertain them because they're so curious on a flight, right? So
I think one of the things also, like you said, if you're able to put them to sleep quite early, and then if you're able to
yes,
get even a couple of hours of sleep
yes,
when they're sleeping on the flight, I think that really helps.
yes. Another issue point when you go on long flights is your meal time, right? So ideally, if you need to, when you board and when you're settling in, you need to ask the hostess when they will be. Why are you laughing? The comments.
Ashwin's just trolling you.
What is he
Trust
saying?
in
I
God.
don't even look.
Trust in God and let them be. Okay.
I should have told him I'm going live. Anyway, so you need to ask the hostess when they're serving food. So you need to tell her to bring yours later after you fed your children,
Yeah.
because the minute they see your food, they're going to want to be fed, and you don't want to get into all that. So as soon as they're bored, I'll either try to feed them and put them to sleep, or put on a movie for them, and then take my meal a lot later.
Okay. So talking about food, right? So one of the questions was, lot of parents feel that travel time is junk food time, right?
Yeah.
So how do you manage that? How do you get them to eat the right food when you're traveling?
Like in the destination, right?
Yes, in destination.
Yes. So I can only speak for what I've seen. When we travel abroad, the fresh produce you get is very, very good. Like you could walk into a supermarket, pick up fruits and eat it then and there. It is a great habit for your children. Um, I would recommend exposing them to local cuisines unless they're very young and you don't know where to get porridge or, I mean, oatmeal is available throughout the world anywhere, man. And another thing that could be life saving is potato mash. All the Western countries will have it, or butternut squash. These are two things that are very good for children, and you can get it at any restaurant,
Supermarket.
irrespective of
Yeah.
whether you're, you're vegetarian or a meat eater. Your child is fussy. It doesn't matter. You can just walk into any restaurant and ask them. You can ask them for just butter, mac and cheese. Mac and cheese is a great option. I try my best to give one healthy meal. That usually happens at breakfast because if you're living in a hotel, it's the
I was
best
going to say
option
that.
to get. Yeah, you get fresh breakfast. They love eggs, they love cereal. So during breakfast, I make sure that they eat the least amount of processed foods because for lunch and dinner, we are usually out, either at a cricket match or exploring something in the destination. So at that point in time, I'll just figure out whatever's available. It doesn't matter. It's okay. I'm not too fussed. As long as they eat it, I don't care what they eat. It's okay.
So
And
I
I
feel
mean,
like
you
it's
need to spend the day. You need to figure out what you're doing. You can't stress about what your child or what calories your child has taken. It doesn't work. You're on holiday, so you want to be happy. Your
yeah,
child needs to be happy and well fed. I don't think you should stress about anything more.
fairly. I think very right point. I think even I feel that just getting the breakfast meal right
Yeah.
really gets the day going. At least the
Yes.
first half you have with
You're
limited
sorted.
incidents, right?
Correct.
The only challenge is they eat breakfast and right when you're about to board the car, they'll want to go to the loo, and
Yes.
you just go back.
That is a chakra.
So
That is a cycle you're never going to get out of. So it doesn't matter.
crazy, right? Especially when you have two kids, at least, I mean, different age groups, especially at your side. I think that the one time one wakes up and one feeds and one does. So how do you actually plan that trip? Like, how do you see in the park? How do you plan that?
Uh, you know what? It's very difficult. See, I'll kind of have a like pre-babies. I used to know exactly what I was going to do, and I'll have a massive checklist that I used to tick off. I'm the kind of traveler that will never chill in a hotel. I should be like, you're on a holiday. You're supposed to chill. For me, that doesn't work. I need to get out the minute.
எங்க அப்பா என்ன பூட்டி வச்சிட்டாரு. So you never know.
I'll be like, you know what my father did? That sort of a thing. But so with children, you have to take it as it comes. Like, kind of have a broad idea of where you're going. Try to Google what's nearby before you go there. Carry a bunch of snacks with you, and then just let it play out. Don't get stressed because it'll not go to plan. And if that happens, you're only going to get disappointed. Show the disappointment on the children. So I suggest don't do that. Have a broad outline. Kind of get them excited about what they might be seeing.
That's very true.
Yeah, there has to be something in it for them. You can't go to a very adult friendly or something that will excite you and imagine them to kind of be party to it. It's going to be very difficult. So planning ahead would help.
Yeah, I think one thing that you said very rightly was actually what has worked for us also is getting them excited the previous night about what they're doing tomorrow.
Yes.
Right? So they wake up on time. Yeah, they wake up on time. Everything happens because they're very excited about doing things that they think they will enjoy.
Correct.
Super.
Right.
Okay, so I think the next thing that also came up, also want to also talk about is how do you handle, like kids can get, like you said, kids can get cranky, right? Kids can fall ill, right? So how do you kind of handle those kind of situations? Have you had them when you have traveled? Like any tips around how do you handle those kind of unplanned stuff with kids going sick or, throwing tantrums?
So with respect to medication, I always pack whatever they need because it's very difficult, especially if your children have like specific conditions.
Yeah, specific medicine.
Yeah, my younger one is slightly asthmatic, so I know if I go to England, sometimes it gives her a trigger. Certain places do give her a trigger. And you also need to know that in the Western world, it's not easy to get OTC
medicines off the counter. Yeah,
you can't get anything. So that's something a lot of people make mistakes with. They under prepare. I'm happy to under prepare if it's me, but with the children I don't take the risk at all because most often they're not. Ashwin is extremely busy with the cricket match. I can't be giving him the stress of oh, we need to find a pharmacy, we need to find a doctor. That's not going to work. And I don't want to go through it either. So they're complete medication, 2 sets I take and go. I pack them in separate bags, vacuum pack it, like put Ziploc. That's something I never compromise on. In that, I also add medication for a tummy upset and constipation. Children get very constipated when you travel because of air travel. And when you go to a new place, they don't get enough fiber or they're too excited. You're eating processed food. So constipation could be an issue if you're jet lagged. So just take whatever medication you need to take. Second, I take 4 things when I'm in the flight. One is a ear pain medicine because my first daughter she was a breeze, but the second one kind of exposed me to everything that was possibly there. I take paracetamol. I take a nose spray. And fourth one, I don't remember what I take. So these 3 I take for sure. Because paracetamol, it's very difficult for an airline to give it to you. A lot of them don't stock it. So you'll have to be, like on one long haul flight to South Africa, Adya picked up, she just spiked a fever out of the blue. We got into the flight. She was perfectly fine. I don't know if it is an air pressure or travel anxiety or, you know, she was claustrophobic. I don't know. It's the first long flight and she was burning. So by the time the seatbelt sign went off, I knew, like, you know, I was in trouble. She was red all over. And then I went and asked Emirates staff to help me. They said, we usually don't give paracetamol, especially to children. But this is one flight where we've got some and I can only give you 1 dosage because it's for 6 hours. And then they gave her a dose and she was fine after that. The fever didn't come back by the 7th, 8th hour. So after that, I've made it, like if it was a jet at that point in time, jet doesn't carry paracetamol for children. I don't know if other airlines even have it. Emirates had it. Singapore probably would have it. So paracetamol is something for children I would definitely, because if they pick up a ear pain also, it helps. It kind of helps them relax if they spike a fever or something. So that's something you definitely have to keep with you in your hand luggage. Something that's accessible so that you don't have to get out from your seat. Keep a tiny pouch with you and put it, you know, in the under your seat or in the front. So you don't have to be getting out of the seat, you know, taking your suitcase down, opening it. Keep a tiny pouch with the main essentials and you're sorted.
Super. So till now, what's been the most enjoyable trip for you with kids?
The kids love England. We've been there a bunch of times for Ashwin's matches, on holiday. And it's a place that I think is very, very baby and parent friendly. When there were much younger infants, there's always a changing room wherever you go. So it's super helpful. The food scene, the children's food scene is very, very, you know, nice as well. And most of all, it's a country where you can step out. In the summer when you go, it's very children friendly. They love Peppa Pig World in UK. So every time we go there, you know, I think my kids have been in a Peppa Pig phase for 3-4 years now. So even if I take them there 2 years from now, they'll still kind of enjoy it. And it's also got a lot of rides for adults. So it's something where, you know, the entire family can
everybody
go. Yeah, everybody has something to do. Australia is amazing because of the number of natural things that you can do. You can go watch the animals and penguins and stuff like that. So Australia is also very, very children's friendly. So it's great.
I don't know if you've done this, but if you haven't, I would strongly recommend in Australia is a farm stay concept where you go live in a farm for a couple of days. I think kids just enjoy because you can see kangaroos, you can see all the wild animals just on the backyard, and it's a super surreal experience for kids.
I haven't done that, though. I have spent like a day long activity thing at farms in England. Have not done.
You should try this next time, maybe whenever the lockdown opens up.
Yes.
Super.
Yes.
So now, having spoken about that, so what's been your most traumatic experience? If you're like, oh God.
Traumatic? I wouldn't call traumatic, but I mean, since they're I had them very close together, right? Both of them at a point were in a stage where I had to carry both. So once when I was going to, I think that South Africa trip was kind of jinxed. When I was going to South Africa, I flew via Dubai, and I ended up taking that train to the wrong gate. So, and then 2 children, one trolley bag and one diaper bag plus a handbag. I died. I thought I was going to miss that flight for sure, because I missed the gate and I wanted to go sit in the lounge. By the time I got to the lounge, they said, this is not even your gate. You shouldn't be at this lounge. And the whole hall of having to carry them or push them all the way back to your flight, it gets very traumatic, especially when children want something, they need a diaper change, they need to go to the loo in that time. So that lounge or whatever, that time you get is important because you want to do all the quick changes, right? But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And then I got into the long flight and then the fever happened. So South Africa was
South Africa is surely not the best memories, even for non-cricketers, I think.
I don't know. I see Johannesburg, I've been there with the children. My issue is you just can't walk out with your kids there, right?
Yeah.
The security is a big problem. And when I go on holiday, it would be difficult for me to pick a place like that. Though the safaris are amazing. Sun City, we went and stayed there for a couple of days. That was beautiful. It's like a very closed, secure place where you can do a ton of things. But again, you just can't take a walk and go to a cafe and pick up hot chocolate and come. It's not that sort of a place. So that's why Australia and England are a lot children friendly. Even Dubai is great actually. But Australia and England are very nice.
Yeah. And so now these days when you guys plan vacations, so how much of a say do the kids have in where you go? Or do you and Ashwin still get a chance to kind of plan where you guys want to go?
We don't ask our children. I mean, no. Because
my dad didn't ask me before he locked me up.
No, I'm just like, see, wherever I go, I'll sort something out for them. And I get this new thing called travel guilt. Okay. So when I go, I'm always looking at things that they can do. And, I'm not kind of getting my agendas done. But again, if they're not happy, they're going to chew your head. So you might as well get, do activities that make them also quite happy. So, but in terms of destinations, we would kind of figure out if the kids would be extremely bored, we wouldn't pick that for a family holiday. Like if I were to go to Maldives, I don't know if I'll take my children and go because they're too young to do.
Not the point, Ashwin. If you're around.
I went without my children. So,
okay.
But another beachy destination where there's tons for kids to do, sure. So we'll have to kind of figure out what your children like, if they like outdoorsy stuff, and then pick a place based on that. But what would you recommend? You've traveled a lot with your children. Is there a place that I haven't been that is amazing for kids?
So I think the first thing, because I have twins, right? So it's not, you can't just generally pack a bag and leave, right? So I think the two things, I was going to ask you as a question, right? I'll come back to that question of yours before I finish the question. Yeah. So what happens when you travel with kids also is that your own personal time with your spouse just goes for a toss, right? Because you're just half the time running around them, right? So how do you and Ashwin find time when you travel with kids?
So one thing that we do is we try to put them to bed really early because in the day I usually don't. The younger one to nap, she still naps, but the first child, she never napped. So Madhyano, to come back to the hotel room or go back to the house and put them down for a nap never existed. That option only wasn't there for me. So if it's a test match, if I'm not watching a match or if Ashwin's going to be away at practice and training the entire day, I will give them breakfast and get out of the hotel. I don't care what happens. Unless it's raining or I'm going to freeze to death. I don't care. I will just get out of the hotel, tire them out, and then come back, give them a hot bath, dinner, and then they're knocked out. So our time, we get time.
And then Ashwin says, and then he's saying we also go to sleep.
Yes, we go to sleep. Once we play test match, we'll also become babies and go to sleep by 8 o'clock. But otherwise, we get some time to unwind. He's answering here, is it? Yeah, we also go to sleep. Or we'll order in a nice meal and eat in peace and watch TV, which is our quality time. We're happy.
Watching TV, okay, interesting.
Yeah, huh?
So go ahead.
No, if we were going to go out with them, we would try and pick a place where they can be occupied while we still kind of get to sit back and enjoy. Maybe a resort or something where children have lots to do. And
so in fact, I was going to suggest that, right? Yeah. So in places like the Maldives, right, while like you rightly pointed out, there are also some interesting resorts where you can just go, like there's an entire daycare kind of a setup, right? And I think that's such a big blessing because then you just suddenly have time that that you can unwind and not feel guilty also.
Correct. I agree. Yes. Yes.
Right.
So you need to pick what you want to do, right? Like if you want some alone time for yourselves, then pick a resort which offers that service for you. Ilana, I mean, when we travel regularly, that's what I do. I put them to sleep early or exhaust them, or try and figure out a place where they'll be equally occupied and we can do what we want to do. But it's responsibility.
You never tried sneaking out, huh? அவங்கள தூங்க பண்ணிட்டு அப்படியே okay. It's like a get out of the hotel room.
So we have like some very, very good family friends in the UK. And the minute you put them to bed, 1 hour, phone on the room. Oh, they're awake. They're asking for you this, that, and all. So we do the sneaking out on the odd nights. But predominantly, the children are going to stick around. Otherwise, you'll have to leave them back home and travel. I haven't really done that, so I don't know about that.
That was actually my next question, right? So do you ever now feel, hey, we just need that break, and do you ever contemplate?
We do. So we did 2 days of Maldives, like 2-3 days of Maldives 2-3 years ago. But adukapra we haven't found the time. But now I just think it's time, because my children are very clingy with me. They don't have Ashwin around all the time. But definitely post-corona, I think we will definitely look at an option where we can go leaving the children behind. Like if I went to a Turkey, there are some places that I want to do without kids. I'm very clear about that. So
Turkey should do with kids. The hot air balloon is surreal.
They can see when they grow up.
Okay.
Yes.
But I can surely suggest Turkey again as a not a bad place all by yourself. But you could look at more interesting adventures. That brings me back. So what's the most adventurous thing you've done with your kids?
With my kids, not too much actually. I don't know. Traveling with them only makes me super adventurous. Everybody will be like, all the best. Jagardiya poitu va. Koindel jagarda and all that. And I'll be like, by the time I reach my destination, I'm already like exhausted.
Yeah.
I haven't done, so this time when we went to the Peppa Pig World, there are lots of adult rides there. Like some roller coasters where children can go on. And this year was very special for me because my first child, she came on one of them with me. I didn't think
nice.
she would be, it was a good ride, very scary for a child. And I always thought she's a bit timid and she wouldn't pick a scary ride. But we did go on one and it was amazing. So I've always loved roller coasters. I've always loved the adrenaline, rides.
Rush.
But
yeah.
The rush. So I did skydiving in New Zealand long ago. It seems like ages ago now. Pre-babies, post-marriage though. So that was great. But with the children, nothing massive. No.
So when we were in New Zealand, what we did was we actually picked up a caravan, and the kids were less than 2, right? So obviously they're the cheapest because there's no flight tickets prices for them. So we said we'll go the longest possible route from here. We picked New Zealand. We took them there, and the entire almost of the 14-day trip, about 10 days was in the caravan with them. It's super fun.
Amazing.
So I think I should try that.
Where did you go?
So we did both the north and the south. They did some bit of Hobbiton and some bit of, we drove down to Hobbiton, then we flew into South Island. We did a lot of these very small Wanaka kind of places where they really enjoyed.
Summer, I'm assuming, or was it summer, right?
End of summer. So about April-ish, right? So it is a little bit more cold. And the best part about this, because we are on an RV, is that we're all camping in these tent sites. And every day you step out and you look up, it's the Milky Way. Every day you spot the Milky Way. It's a crazy experience. You should do that maybe.
But New Zealand, I think, like, I've been to Switzerland also. But somehow every time I say it, I would pick New Zealand over the Swiss any day. I don't know why. It's a place that is just so stunning. Everything about it is wonderful. And the fact that we can drive there amazingly. So New Zealand has always been a place that we've wanted to go back to. So if we did a long trip, like a driving trip, we would pick New Zealand. With the children, if we wanted to go, we would do that.
Super. Great. So I think this one question that came in was, I think which you broadly answered, but still, if you want to still take a second shot, what's the best holiday you've had with kids?
I would think last year of England.
Okay.
Yeah, because every year we keep going back, we try to do something different. And it's a place that I can never get enough of. And last year I managed to take my parents also, so it was very special for me uh, to have. We had a house to ourselves. Ashwin was playing county cricket, so we had a house and we were sorted. We stayed in Nottingham for about 15, 20 days, and we were traveling to other places from there.
Beautiful.
So it was
The
it was
Scottish
a,
Highlands must have been surreal.
I didn't do that. My parents went ahead and did it.
Okay.
So my children kind of didn't get along with the
Peppa World.
plan.
Yeah.
I had to fly back, but no. London and whatever you do along with it,
Yeah.
it is probably the best. Yeah.
Super.
And also,
So
I would think New Year last year, we were in Australia, we were in Sydney. So we managed to catch the fireworks for New Year's last year. So that was super special.
Australian fireworks are like really surreal along the Sydney. In Sydney, was it in Sydney?
Sydney,
was it
yes.
in Sydney? Yeah. Beautiful.
And cute,
okay.
They have one at 9 o'clock for children, which is amazing. I didn't have to keep them up till 12.
Very interesting. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, they
so
do
one question that came in.
Show at 9.
Okay. Good point for myself to note. Yes. One question that came in, which I also wanted to chat about, was your favorite domestic destination. And then I have a follow-up question on that as well. So.
With children?
Yes, with children.
See, to be honest, I love Dharamshala. But every time I've been there, like personally, it's been very difficult. So I really want to take them there once and spend time over there. They've loved the hills somehow, probably because we're from Chennai and we never see enough of it. It's something I want to do, just take them up north and get it, like spend some time in the hills. We went to Kotagiri 2-3 years back and the kids loved it. I thought they would get, kind of, they wouldn't be happy with the cold weather and nothing to do and all that, but they were fine. Seeing monkeys and, animals running around here and there, they were fine. So it's something I want to do. I want to go up north and spend some time. Probably later this year if everything settles down.
So one of the things that you've done is both domestic and a lot of travel, both domestically and international, right? So what are some of the key things that you do differently when you travel domestic compared to international? What are some of the challenges you face when traveling domestically within India?
So India is a bit fuss-free on the food front. Like, hands down, we probably have the best hospitality in the world. So the minute you know you're going to check into a good Indian hotel, you are sorted with respect to food. Or worst case, you just step out and eat anything. You pick a decent restaurant and you're sorted. So food in India is never a problem. Though sometimes when we travel abroad, like on a cold night or on a rainy night, I can't step out. I need to get off there, figure out the app that delivers, and then put in my credit card information. Sure. So that way, I think India is very easy to manage. Second, the helpful nature of hotel staff here. You will not find it anywhere else. Probably in Dubai. You will find it in other Asian countries, but in the Western world, it's very difficult to find. It's very
process oriented. Yeah,
it's very process oriented. It's very formal. So when you're with children, you always have requests that are odd, either with respect to timing or with respect to the gravity of what you're asking. So that way, Indian hotels are a godsend, and staff in Indian hotels are amazing. Especially if you have children, they're just like all the more willing to come and help you out. So they are always willing to help. So I don't think it's a problem at all. Zero food, packing when I travel domestic. In fact, the medication also, I don't bother too much. I just take basic paracetamol, probably a cold and cough syrup with me. Anything else can be bought in Indian cities. So that's something I would weigh in when I travel abroad. I don't want to go through the stress of, finding a pharmacy or a doctor. Domestic travel is quite easy. I don't think it's a breeze.
So for me, one of the biggest challenges in travel domestically is what you also touched upon earlier, was the entire diaper, especially in the diaper phase. Yes. Right? The diaper changing can be such a challenge sometimes
it is a hassle,
when you're traveling within India.
Also the toilets, it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Even if you do have children who want to use the toilet, they're in that age where they're moving out of diapers and into toilets. That is the worst stage to be in, because they don't like yucky toilets. They need your assistance to be inside a toilet. And Indian toilets, it's very difficult to do that. So, I mean, till last year, I did keep my children in diapers because it was easier. But it would be great if they were more hygienic changing rooms in airports and hotels and,
True.
you know, at public places. So that's something that is a problem. But otherwise, again, these are disposable diapers. So worst case, you know, I don't see any shame. Worst case, I'll put them in the back of a tourist car if I'm traveling in one, open the dicky, plop them there, change, and I'm done. So, oh, there are people asking questions. How did you do
Yeah,
that?
yeah. So one of the question is, what is the best place that you have traveled along with Ashwin, and you wish he played a lot more matches there, so you could do a lot more trips,
A lot more matches.
so you could do a lot more trips.
To do a lot more trips. I want to go back to Sri Lanka. It's a place where, I mean, you take it for granted, right? It's right here. You can do it later. But when he went and played the Gaul test, I just didn't have enough time in that country. I wanted to do a lot more, kind of eat out a lot more. So I would say Sri Lanka and probably New Zealand.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of the other questions is one new destination you badly want to visit apart from Turkey.
Oh, they put Turkey in it.
I put Turkey in it.
I wanted to go to Vietnam.
Beautiful place. They don't have many corona cases, by the way. Vietnam is one of the least in the world.
Yeah, and apparently the healthcare is like kick-ass. So I was very surprised when I read about that the healthcare management is, I mean, considering the density of population that they have, they've done really well for themselves. So Vietnam is a place I've wanted to go. Yeah, Turkey and Vietnam, I think.
Okay, super. The other question coming in is, where did you last travel before the quarantine?
Where did I go? Domestically, I went for a test match, I think. My husband only has to come and answer. So I went to Vizag for a test match.
Okay.
I went to Calcutta for the pink ball test. I think that was the last I traveled. I haven't gone anywhere after that. Internationally, I went to England in September last year, September. So that's it.
Okay. So this is a very interesting phase where it's called the quarantine shots. We ask you a bunch of questions like super fast, right?
Oh.
So if you woke up as Ashwin,
you're already fast, Hari. What is super fast?
Super Hari is super fast. PG aside, if you woke up as Ashwin, what's the first thing you would do?
Go back to bed.
Poor guy. Make that answer interesting.
To sleep, yeah, because his wife will be taking care. No.
Okay. Favorite cricketing player apart from Ashwin?
Dhoni.
Sorry?
Dhoni. Yeah.
Safe answer. Come on. Safe answer.
What is safe? Why is it safe?
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, who can
what? Give me.
Who can not like Dhoni?
Oh, who can not like? Oh, yeah, of course. Who cannot like Dhoni? Virat also is like universally loved. I know. Do you want
Pass. Time up. Pass. Time up. So you said 2 already, Turkey and Vietnam. Yeah. Add one more destination that you'd go after lockdown.
Probably someplace in India. I've always wanted to go to do Tibet and the Northeast bit of it. So yes, India.
Super. I think that's pretty much came in as questions as well. I'm just going to quickly check if you've missed any questions.
I haven't checked any of it. Just give me one. Oh, there are lots. Everyone is laughing. Why are they laughing? Because of what my husband said?
Yeah, your husband, they find husband funny, I think, compared to either of us. So I was just going to...
Okay. I'm glad you asked.
So one question. How do you guys see the tourism industry due to COVID panic? Okay.
Yep.
Surely not traveling with kids. I mean... But so what's your take? Like when will you travel next?
So that's what I was telling. We were thinking we would do like a road trip first. Probably not now, at least not for the next 4 months. Nothing. I mean, internationally, if they've called off cricket, then it is massive, right? So we don't want to add to the burden of others who might have to cater to us if we travel. And of course, children in the play of things. So nothing for the next 3 months, at least, unless we go by car and stay somewhere really secure and come back. I wouldn't want to risk it.
Yeah. I think clearly we're also seeing the trend that staycations, right, where people can travel in the safety of their own cars
Yes.
would
Yes.
be the first thing that might pick up. And there's a lot of pent-up demand, like you said. Like people are just so frustrated just being put
They are.
inside
They just want to get
four
out.
walls.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's going to come up. And then slowly, once that starts happening, I think then domestic will pick up. And then slowly, more and more people start traveling. And then hopefully, international also is bound by government laws, right? So I think you have to wait for the governments to feel comfortable, right? And that's the only way it's going to take. But I think, yeah, easily another 4 to 6 months before we even have some kind of clarity on how things are going to evolve.
Yeah. Have European countries? I saw a post from you guys. Some countries are opening up tourism. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Spain is opening up one of the islands, Canary Islands, sometime in July. Greece is opening up. Yesterday I saw Prague is having an open market, like a fair market, flea market on Sunday. So I think Europe, I think unlike, I don't know, a large part of Indians, we have some kind of support at home to manage kids, right? So, but Europeans rely a lot on schools to kind of even work, right, without kids. So I think Europeans are trying to, that's the larger constraint for them. So they're trying to move out as fast as possible, but you never know with the second, third, how many other waves that will come. But I think, like you said, the best thing is to stay safe till we kind of see this through. But even Iceland, one of the comments is coming up. Iceland also is opening up. So they are actually going to do tests to everybody who's going to come in Iceland.
So they would hold them in a quarantine till the test results come out and then kind of let them in.
They're doing some this rapid antibody test. I think that's what they're doing.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, fine. Okay. But it would be a big call, right? For them to let international tourists come in.
Yeah, but I think, see, Iceland, actually, when I was there, right, I was told that the annual tourist visit is 50 million. Like Maldives, Iceland, these are places where a lot more tourism is needed for them to kind of run the entire economy, right? So I think it's also a call around that. I think Maldives, they're very, very keen to open up because they've done quite a... In fact, I heard that Chinese are going to start visiting Maldives sometime in July, starting as early as July. Wow. They're trying to do that.
They can't seem to wait. They're usually the ones who travel a lot, right? The Chinese travel.
So you saw, right? Yeah, I mean, they've opened up. I think this last week, almost 30 million Chinese traveled domestically within China. Wow. So I think...
okay. I mean, I think going down the line, it's going to become a way of life and everybody will try to figure out what to do. Your airlines will again, put in place protocols to deal with, social distancing or whatever. So yeah, but I hope you guys bounce back quickly. It's a difficult phase.
Indian pitches are kind of slow turners, but we're still hoping that we can bounce back. Yeah. So one other questions coming in is what are you doing now in the lockdown?
What do you mean? There is no
time. One of the questions.
No, there's usually there are house chores to be done, and then.
How are you keeping your kids engaged?
Kids engaged. So initially I was scheduling a lot of their work, but then after that I also kind of tapered off and I'm like, you know what, it's okay, do whatever makes you happy. I try once in 2 days I try to make them sit down to do something constructive in terms of an activity or a book or something. Elena, if I'm in the kitchen, they join me in the kitchen. I let them be in the kitchen. Elena, I give them screen time, that's all. And Ashwin plays with them. So Akira is learning a little bit of cricket now. She's learning to bowl. So, and I do a lot of terrace gardening. So they come with me in the evening. Up there, I think time goes off. Everyone says there's nothing to do, but there's so much to do. And then your day is over by, in no time.
Yep. I think the kids adapt really well. At least from what I've seen, they've really kind of caught on to it. And
adapted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. The younger children, yes. But I think slightly older, the 7 to teen category is struggling a bit. Which would be the case. They can't step out, see friends, and, it's hard to understand. Toddlers, under 5, I still think we can say something and kind of manage them. But the older children would be struggling, I think.
Great. I'd love to continue to keep this going, but already in the comments now, they're like, boss. So,
really?
There's one more question about Gen Next online classes. How are things coming up? Actually, how are you guys managing with the entire cricket school and coaching?
Yeah, I know. So we went literally zero business when, the announcements came in. And we knew this was here to stay. So we moved online immediately. So first, it was very difficult for people to kind of accept, what was happening. And I'm sorry. Am I back?
You're back, yes.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
So, but now everyone's used to it. They're giving some very good drills. There is a coaching curriculum that's designed by Ashwin. So the drills are stuff that you can do in your balcony, in your kitchen, in your hall, whatever, without baking stuff. So it's very practical for kids to do, and they adapt so well. So we are completely busy with online classes now. In fact, we think it's going to be something that's here to stay, because if your children are not going to school, they're not going to step out to learn cricket. So may as well adapt and, excel in that. So yes.
True. Super. I think we should really, Ashwin's got a comment, so I think
I don't know what he means.
It's in his own interest. Guys, let me just take any more questions.
I can't. My Hindi is very bad. Santosh has asked about online classes. You read that out, right? I don't think there are any parents or moms, daddies asking questions. I don't think there are. Iceland is opening in June, is what someone's saying. Germany is opening. Oh, this is good news for you guys. So all the best, Hari. Thank you so much.
Super. It was super fun.
Yes.
One of the was super fun. And look forward to you doing a lot more trips with kids and inspiring more folks.
Yes. Every time I say this is the last trip, and then I'll be packing my bags already. So hopefully that continues to happen. All the best.
Yes.
Hopefully get the support to bounce back happily. So we'll connect soon. Thanks. Thank you, guys.
Yep. Thanks a lot. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching us. Thanks for joining in, guys. Have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.